about building communities, working collaboratively, and creating and providing a wraparound service for children and young people with vision impairment. It's about building communities to ensure the successful learning and development outcomes for the child or children. It involves all of us, and not just us as individuals, and that's very important. So today we're going to present the newly developed curriculum framework for children and young people with vision impairment, which we use as CFVI for short. So if you hear that throughout the presentation, you'll know what we're referring to. Okay, it's the first one of its kind in the UK that involves all the 4 nations of England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Scotland. A huge collaborative and consultative effort involving many people, including practitioners, vision-related services, families, parents, and of course, children. So, I also would like to say at this point that many African countries have their own embedded curriculums for children with vision impairments. Of course, this varies across the continent. Okay, so it's good practice. VEA INT is already sharing CFVI with its partners in Africa and organizations in form of our exchange. We'd like to continue to develop this dialogue at the first International Council for Education of People with Visual Impairment in Nairobi, Kenya, which is going to be taking place from the 9th to the 12th of October of this year. So we're keeping our fingers crossed for that. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you all the founder of VEA International, Mr. Molemisi Kono. He'll be sort of just discussing all this. Yes, a round of applause, please. Yes, of course.
Thank you.
And I think also he's a familiar face for some of you may have known the previous conference that was held. So we're going to take you on a bit of a journey. I'm going to be asking some questions, and with Mr. Molemisi here being the expert. And also, my name is Remiiya, so I didn't introduce myself. My name is Remiiya, and I've worked in education for the last 20 years. I've worked mainly in creative visual arts and also with special educational needs and using creative learning as a tool. And I've also worked with museums and galleries to do that as well. So let's make a start. Okay, so curriculum framework for children and young people with vision impairment. First slide. Okay, so just quickly just going to go through the aims and objectives. We don't want to read out every single slide, but just to give you a really good overview. Okay, so we're going to introduce and share this new curriculum framework in the UK, and to highlight also the rehabilitation standards that was really published this year, and to give further examples of how VEA INT is implementing these 2 important documents in areas of Africa. So I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Kono. First of all, what is CFVI and why was it created?
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As it's been said, my name is Molemisi Kono. I'm the founder of this organization, Visualize Africa International. We work together collaboratively. We live in London. Let's just make that clear. But we work in the continent of Africa, where we come from. Why it was created. The 4 nations that has been spoken about had individuals kind of curriculums, if we put it that way. So we could have just said it was scattered, there wasn't anything coherent. Therefore, this particular curriculum, CFVI, was created to make that unification throughout all those different parts of the United Kingdom, So yeah, that's why it was created. It was created to unify this curriculum into one as a framework.
Okay, how was the framework created and by whom?
It's a long story. I won't take you all through the journeys, but as it's been said, first it was published in 2022 and we happen to take part in it as ourselves. It has been said again, it was created between all the children and other stakeholders, but the principal people who were behind the desk, if you say so, is the Birmingham University. That's where the hub was. But there were other organizations involved. As you can see, the National Council. I went to Ireland there for 1 second. Yeah, I work in Ireland, by the way, and CBI, the people who were talking here earlier, they just brought that memories. But it's the National Institute for the Blind in the UK, RNIB. There's VIEW. VIEW is a professional body that ourselves belong to as rehabilitation specialists. But also with this organization, Thomas Pocklington, I had somebody mention it yesterday. So these were kind of the main body who were behind the creation of the curriculum. Thank you.
Okay. So what is underpinning? What is the theoretical concept underpinning of CFVI? Oh, sorry,
yeah.
Sorry, I'll get you to this mic.
Okay, some of yourselves here, you may be aware of access to learning and learning to access. If you're not aware of it, I will highly encourage you to look at it. So what does access to learning mean? It means that children and young people are given suitable information to aid their learning in a specific curriculum area. This is quite important, that we enable, we give the children and young people the tools that are necessary for them to learn. And learning to access, as you can see, children and young people are given the resources to be able to do that. So now here is that they have the resources now to go forward. We give them, and then they have the resources to learn. So this is what it means. And it's the principle, again, it's from Birmingham University. So yeah, thank you.
One point I'd like to add as well from the previous presentations, there's definitely a thread in trying to nurture young people to become independent, and by providing them the right tools, which we'll see a bit more in the curriculum, enables this as part of their learning journey. Okay. So what does the curriculum framework look like in practice? And this follows on from what I said about building a wraparound service for young people. There we have it.
Yeah, here you have it. I saw something yesterday, talking about curriculum yesterday. So after all the work, after all the cooking has been done, putting together, this is the themes that were developed thereafter. There is Delphi method. So all this now is the core of the curriculum. And you can teach it, each one individually, each one together, all of them. You know, so if a child may come to me, this or to the school, and they say, okay, we have issues with orientation mobility because you are here, then we know which part in the curriculum they can choose, parents or teachers. So they might, when they're working with the child, they might pick up areas that where it's lacking for that child. Therefore, they can specifically go to one of those to focus. It has just been said there, personal-centered learning. Okay, these are the 11 core outcomes that came out of this work. I think it took almost a year or so, 2 years, including COVID.
And also it's important to highlight that we have the national curriculum in the UK. And even for individual subjects, we often have to differentiate the learning to meet the needs of specific individuals, whether they be highly gifted or they need extra support in certain areas. And the beauty of this curriculum is it can be differentiated according to the needs for that child at that particular time of their development. So it's not necessarily fixed, but it gives you a platform in which you can shape and differentiate according to the needs of the child by introducing the services through these aspects of the curriculum. So how is this new curriculum framework being implemented and developed?
Okay, as you can imagine, it's new. It's almost a year old. So there's a concerted effort by all the organizations that we spoke about before to make sure that the curriculum is now going to where it should be. At present, there's specialist training and awareness that's especially from VIEW, it's been taken out into the community, out into different parts of the United Kingdom. There's a concerted effort to lobby for policy and influence. There's an ongoing right now, engaging with government, with local authorities for buying in. There's an evaluation on the implementation. As we know, anything new, it was just said that you come with an idea only to realize that implementation is totally different from the idea. So what they are looking for here is to collect these data, analyze it, and probably reshape it in a way that it really meant to be. As we speak also, there's a concerted effort again to create resources. And I think this is very important that we hear around lack of resources or lack of where to go to get such information. Therefore, yourself, at some point, you could go there and see what is there if you're working with children and young people around curriculum development. Thank you.
And also it's an opportunity for practitioners to share good practice. And also there's a hub online where practitioners can actually communicate and share resources about what works, what doesn't. So the curriculum itself, because it's a living, breathing document, and it's still shaping itself and developing, which is actually quite exciting because it kind of keeps up with the times, it keeps up with changes. As we in the UK, education policy is always changing all the time. With this curriculum, it's very flexible and it's growing deep roots. What do the new habilitation quality standards entail?
Okay, this is not necessarily part of the curriculum. Some of you may be aware, in UCL, the University College London, or Institute of Education, where we are trained as habilitation specialists, they just published a second edition of the curriculum of the quality standard, habilitation quality standard, which of course it informs from the first one. So if literally what we're saying, it can be married. You know, you got the curriculum already, then you got the standards. So that really creates a nice sitting together for the child, for the delivery of the service. Okay, yeah, it enhances children's voice and all that.
And one more point about the curriculum. It works in harmony with the national curriculum. So they work side by side, and there's lots of crossovers, and it's got a kind of symbiotic relationship that benefits the young people to work in mainstream. Some special schools are still quite close to mainstream education and some are apart, but there's elements that cross over, and that's the beauty of the standard. It kind of underpins the curriculum, giving it more weight and strength.
Just quickly there, we were at UCL when more or less 2 months ago when they were launching this standard. Thank you.
Okay, how is VEA INT implementing CFVI and HQS in Africa?
Africa is always at the back of our minds.
And the front.
Okay, at the front and the back on the sides. So Africa is at the center of ourselves, as we are called Visualize Africa International. So it's quite, again, going back to the remarks that have been said there, as a CFVI International, we are collaborating with our local partners in Africa, sharing this curriculum. We building networks here in the UK and in Africa. We are working with grassroots level. People were talking again just during the day. There's that running through of collaboration. That's very, very important. Again, it has been said down there. And of course, we were at Birmingham as well for the VIEW conference, as well the one that I just spoke about, the rehabilitation conference. And we are looking forward, as we say, to probably some of you will be there in Nairobi, Kenya, where we will be presenting to a conference like that. So this is how we are taking what's already here and working with our partners to really synthesize and come up with super hybrid, so to say. Thank you.
So how can you help VEA INT?
Well, we need a lot of hands on deck. It's all about a collaboration. We've got all those things like the medium, that what we are asking or what we wish to work with is that we can do virtual training. So you may have, the issues of mobility, the use of ILS, and so forth. So these are maybe we could say low-hanging branches that we can share with the individuals. It has been said again downstairs. So kind of building up on that, we would wish that at some point you here as professionals and those who are not here and those in the continent, there can be exchange programs. And this is very, very important that we share, I guess for all of us, the learning and the teaching of blind and vision impaired children, it's at the core. It's what really drives us. So we here again, going back to what has been said, we would like also with translation services to make it specific. Again, it has been said again that language issues, not everybody speaks English. Therefore, one would rightly so saying, if it's in the local languages, it's more likely to go further, if you understand what I'm saying. So these are some of the things really that we would like to work with yourselves here, to come together and work with our partners in the continent.
So just on a final note there, it's really about building collaborations, and I often use the word global. So we're working with not just with schools, but not just working with schools, but also with organizations as well to continue to develop that curriculum and to share good practice. And it goes both ways. It's not about us just going there and saying we know this and our experiences. We also need to respect and appreciate and listen and learn from those peri-urban communities as well as more established organizations. Thank you.
Well, I didn't say that. In the eventuality, probably the longest term, we would wish that local universities would set up their own program, rehabilitation program, so that they, it's been said all over that again and again, the lack of professionals. So yes, we can probably go there for a week or 2 weeks and do what we do and then fly back to our places of residency. But we are not giving the man or we're not giving the persons here the ability to do it for themselves. So we were saying if they have within their countries can set up these trainings, therefore we have given them the ability to produce their own specialist. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, this is a little bit about us.
Yeah, that's about us. Yeah, we do this work not just in Africa, by the way, also in the Caribbean. We do it almost everywhere where we are needed. So even here in Europe, if you want exchanges of, what it is, what can we work together? So we'll be very happy to visit you and continue this dialogue.
Well, thank you very much for listening. Thank you.